Hey, what's up, everybody? Ken here, coming back at you with a video that I believe is a follow-up to the previous one I did titled The Volume. So I just want to emphasize, if you haven't checked that out yet, go back and watch it. Just for 6 minutes, I sort of unpacked the idea of what it means to be a Mayhem athlete for me anyway, and how I really go into this with a complete mental understanding, if you will, just a heart about it that says, you know what, I'm remembering why I do this first and foremost. I make it a non-negotiable on my schedule, and I realize that this is who I want to be. It's not just something I do, right? The training is not just something I do, but it's a part of who I am. And I'd encourage you to check that out, because then what this video then does is sort of just put that mindset to action. So as a matter of principle, right, I know that there's probably a million different varieties out there as far as our lives go, right? So we're all different ages. We're different marital statuses. We have different kid statuses as far as no kids or a lot of kids, and different ages and seasons of life that comes with our kids being different ages. And we have injuries, we have illnesses, we have just all kinds of stuff, whether our gym is closed or we have a fully affiliated, almost CrossFit or garage gym, right? We have all that stuff that just makes each of us very unique. So as I unpack my week as a Mayhem athlete for you, I hope that you have fun. I hope that you get some great takeaways from it, of things you can start doing, or adjustments you can make, or how you can take some of the principles that I implement into my week and make them a part of your own week, and based on, again, those variables that are unique to you. So here we go. This is Monday, the last week of 2020, and we got some good training on tap. Right out the gates, we got Veggie Tales, right? So you'll see this in Sugar Wad if you're following along, right? We all have a version of this workout. So let me just tell you that's what's interesting. Well, it's 3:15 in the afternoon, and I'm just getting out here to start training. That's not typically how my day is structured, and you'll see that as we go throughout the week, but it is what it is. I had one of those days today where there's a lot of professional obligations on my plate, a couple little personal-ish type things as well to deal with, and so what that does, it makes it challenging for me. You can relate. Is just the timing and cycle of my nutrition and all the things that go along with getting ready to do this just get kind of messed around with. So I'm going to get into some nutrition and supplementation stuff later on throughout the week, but just for today, I'm going to focus on the warm-up. But as I get ready to get into this, I thought you might find this entertaining. I mean, this is part of my pre-workout fuel. I needed some kind of good carbs or something to put into my stomach to kind of take up that empty feeling and just get me going. So that's what I'm stepping into this with. This ought to be a good day, as we also start a new Mayhem Burgener strength cycle with a bunch of back squatting and front squatting, right? So you'll be able to walk with me on that. But for now, hey, let's go. I'm going to show you some of the things that I do when it comes to warming up and getting ready for training. So that's it. That's how I mobilize and warm up for just pretty much every workout. Doesn't matter what we're going to be doing for the day. That's the base of it. What I will add to it, depending on what we're doing, especially if there's going to be some snatching or something that I can get into maybe later in the week, but with the shoulder injury, I don't have the mobility and stretch capacity in this right shoulder to do a lot of that, but I might be able to show you here later in the week on a snatch day some of the snatch-specific warm-ups and mobilization drills I do that add on to what I just did to get me ready to train and stay healthy. I'm 45. I feel like I'm in great shape, and I'm young, feeling anyway I can handle the capacity. I'm not completely falling apart, but I want to keep it that way. You know, I want to perform well and not increase the risk of injury that prevents my ability to do this stuff. Because if you're like me, you've taken some injuries along the way, and it makes this journey a little frustrating when you can't do something that you so desperately desire to do. So now all that's left for me when I get into a workout is, for the first piece, I start warming up the specific movements that we're going to be dealing with. So for today, for Veggie Tales, we got the strict handstand push-up, which for me I don't have yet with the shoulder. So I'm going to start warming up some strict barbell press, see what I think I feel comfortable with, because what I want is it to be challenging to get 10 reps unbroken, because that's the goal today, right? And then I'm going to scale back the toes to bars to 10 from 15 that is programmed for masters, because again, stimulus-wise, I don't want to break right out the gates. I could probably get 15 unbroken out the first round, but then for 4 more rounds, I'm going to be breaking and doing a lot of penalty calories. So what I'm looking to try to do is pick a stimulus that will allow me to really have to work to get unbroken. So for me, 10 unbroken toes to bars, just coming back off the shoulder injury, so therefore I wasn't doing anything overhead. I couldn't even reach overhead and thus couldn't hang on a bar. So my grip strength has really suffered and taken a few steps back. So I think over the last week or two that I've slowly been getting toes to bars back, that 10 per round will be a good number for me. So I'm going to get on the bike. I'm going to warm up and get that thing just kind of going, because I want to be able to push a decent pace on that with the rests that we have between rounds. And I'm going to warm up the barbell, and I'm going to warm up my toes to bars a little bit just to get everything loose and stretched and ready to go. All right, so first Metcon is done. I record everything on an iPad that's on a stand, so I can move that thing wherever I want. I use the WeTime app to record training. A ton of features on there that I like, so you can always hit me up directly and why that is, and you can even get a 50% discount if you want to use a code I have. So now it's time to just log it all into the SugarWOD app. So for today's training, for logging my result, they're looking for the time for each round. So I'll log that in, and I'll put scale because I didn't do the workout RX, and I'll always put a little note here as to why. So when other athletes on the leaderboard are looking at my score compared to theirs, they can see specifically what I did to get those times. And then plus it's just a great log to look back at maybe someday too and figure out what I did, how I was feeling. So I'll just put little notes in there. It's not for necessarily anybody else unless they benefit from the information I put down, but it's definitely for me to be able to look back and just kind of get out like what I was thinking and feeling as I was doing that workout. So now it's time to start loading up the bar and getting after some back squats and front squats.
Like this tie naughty blankets, I couldn't fit it in my bag.
You gotta ship it to you?
No, she's bringing her grandmother back here. Her and her mom are bringing her.
When?
We drove around a lot. We went to this place called Unclaimed Baggage, and it's where like luggage and stuff that doesn't get cleaned to the airport.
Seriously?
It gets sent, and it's empty. It's a big thrift store. It's like the clothes and everything. They still want it, so it's not like actually good stuff. Like it's a good thrift store.
Oh my god.
I know.
I didn't really think like places like that
There's
existed.
only 2 in the country.
I heard about them, but there's one probably in LA or something. Yeah.
All right, so my session 1 for today is done. We're already at 5:30 in the afternoon, and generally my second session would have been done by now. So about a half a day behind. This happens from time to time throughout the week, but I know what my week looks like, and I'm pretty confident that I can get all this caught back up. So that's actually going to be kind of fun and really create for me like a greater sense of accomplishment that I got it done in the week when the schedule wasn't perfect. So stay with me. We're going to get this stuff knocked out, but for now, it's time to get some food in me and start the recovery process. So catching up on training. So, just professionally, it's one of those kind of beginnings to a week where I got a lot of heavy stuff going on, and being in faith-based ministry, sports ministry, even right now as I'm building this content and trying to get training caught up, I'm talking to one of you on the other side of the planet about faith. So this is just what I do, and it's the priority. It's the number one value in my life. But this is a value as well, so we just make things work. So I've caught up on the front squats, about to do the row, and that's going to complete this morning's training. Get some food in me, got some work to do to close out some things, and I'll get back out here this afternoon, evening, and hit today's training for my second session of the day. So let's keep it rolling. Oh, Bob the Tomato, right? So 7 deadlifts at 225, 14 box jump overs, at the 24-inch box and 42 double unders for masters 45 years to 54 years old. So that's my RX workout. Excited to get to do it RX, and 21-minute hammer as you can see on the timer. So let's get this thing going. I'm ready to light the fire inside. That was one of those workouts, you know, to pick a pace early. It seems kind of easy, but you think you can hold throughout the duration. And I was really happy with that. So I got, 9 rounds and 7 reps. I was just over 2 minutes a round. I slowed a little bit because I was starting with deadlifts at 4 and 3. And then the last 3 rounds, I actually just did 7 unbroken and didn't have to rest anymore after the deadlifts before the box jump overs. Now, the box jump overs got a little real. Hip flexors and just that exploding the knees up. Started to feel it a little bit late. I had to, kind of 10 general physical skills. You start getting into like coordination, accuracy, and balance. Some of those things. There's such a mental aspect to some of the stuff where your body starts to fatigue. Kind of tighten up the mind to make the body do what it's supposed to. Good technique, good form. Because otherwise, if I get a little bit lazy, I recognize my feet catching the far side of that box. It's going to be a bad day. So, yeah, not bad. All right, what's up, everybody? So we're on to Wednesday's training now, and as you have been following, I'm about a half a day behind. So I'm going to open up today with the Bulgarian split squats, the pull-ups. They won't be weighted for me as I continue to get my shoulder used to going through that pulling motion again and pulling my fat butt up above the bar. And then I'm going to try the sandbag hold for the first time. And I think that whole sequence will be a great warm-up activator for what comes later. So I still got the rope climb one to do, so I cannot handstand walk, certainly with the shoulder yet. So I'm going to try rope climbs for the very first time in the last little over 2 months, about 9 weeks. So I'm going to do 4, 3, 2, 1 ropes, and then figure out a little time sequence of maybe like 30 seconds, 25, 20, 15 or something like that. It's sort of a comparison or a partnered way to partner up the handstand holds against the wall with those rope climbs. Then I'll rest 5 minutes and repeat. So that's the goal, is to see how my shoulder responds to the rope climb and the holds. Then after that, if everything is still progressing well, then we get into this nasty little thruster wall ball piece, which my intention is to go RX, but what I've got written down is I'm going to do the wall balls RX. I know I can do that, but the thrusters is the question mark. There's just a weird little difference in the way that the thruster goes compared to wall balls. Subtle, but it's I want to play with that a little bit and warm up. And right now I've got 65 and 75 pounds for the 2 barbell weights, and I'm hoping that I can get that up to 75 and 95, but I don't think so yet. And then I'm going to try this afternoon then for session 2, the overhead squats. I'm not snatching yet, but I'm going to, for the first time, is put that barbell overhead. I'm going to start with the Bella bar, which is the women's bar, and just try to get overhead and hold the right position and just see how it feels. If it's a little bit nasty and it doesn't feel like it's ready to stretch that way yet, then we'll just skip it. But I definitely am going to do the snatch deadlifts and see how my shoulder responds to having the arms a little wider, right, and do the deadlift. So that's my training day for today, 2 different sessions. When that's all over, then the intention would be is that tomorrow being Thursday, I will use today's ski workout and partnered up maybe with what tomorrow has on tap, which I think is probably going to be a bike erg. I'll do some kind of combination there so that come Friday morning, I'm back on schedule. Friday, Saturday should be normal training days based on what I'm looking at, and finish the week all caught up. So that happens to me quite a bit when schedules just get in the way, but I find a way to just slowly chip away at getting all caught up over the course of the week. So I hope that helps you. So let's get into this thing. Man, it's Thursday, so time to get out in the garage here in a minute, finishing up work. And it's been a good day. Got some body work done today from sports massage, and so feel good there. Everything's ready to go, and enjoying the feeling of being kind of total body sore again as the shoulder's recovering and I can do more. But we got the ski erg from yesterday to make up, and I'm combining that with the bike erg today to get just a good combination of back and forth time domains and effort sequences there of hard and easy and moderate and all that kind of stuff that Coach Henshaw gives us through aerobic capacity. So look forward to getting after it so we can finish the week strong on Friday and Saturday. So let's go. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. It's Friday morning, and I had to pause for a second to even think of what day it is because it feels like it should be Sunday. There's a bunch of football on. I feel wrecked, and really felt like this today should just be a rest day. But it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just now getting out here to just kind of put together one big session to close out today's training and stay on track. So I'm going to open things up with 75 GHDs for time, not up to bar muscle ups yet. So I'm just going to work on the core and just see how big of chunks of GHDs I can get done as a way to keep the core strong, but also just improve my GHD capacity and efficiency there. That'll be kind of the opening exercise. Then I'll get into this nasty one of chest to bars and bar face and burpees and shoulder to overhead. And with no like rest breaks in there, no one-to-one, none of that kind of stuff. When I'm looking at this thing, this is one of those workouts. It comes up every so often where I'm thinking about a whole lot of things. So each of you are just like me. You have some personal things about you, the degree of your fitness at this point. Maybe it's an injury you're dealing with, or the combination of some things like this morning. We just came off of staying up way past our bedtime last night. I don't know about you, but I ate something I probably should not have eaten, and I just feel like trash this morning. But got up off the same amount of sleep, but just am behind hours-wise today. And but I've been eating right, hydrating, doing all the things I'm supposed to do this morning. So I didn't feel so great a couple hours ago, and but we're gonna do this now. Because man, just putting this content together for you is part of the motivation to just get out here and do this and be somebody that can suffer with success and hopefully provide some good stuff for others to go off of. So I'm thinking about my shoulder, and I just want to share some thoughts with you about a workout like this. It's 5 rounds, a ton of volume. And when I think back to the most elite level of fitness I've ever had in my entire life, it was just 3 months ago before I blew my shoulder out. So even then, in this workout, I'd be looking at taking the chest to bars, 18 of them, and not being stupid out the gates and trying to do 18 unbroken, which I could do, but there would be a cost to that. And especially after going after 15 bar face and burpees, 12 shoulder overhead, and then coming right back around to get back on a chest to bar, there's a lot of things to consider here. And I just want to kind of talk to you for a second about how I look at workouts like this in hopes that maybe you would take a greater look at some of these workouts, not necessarily overanalyze it, but just be aware of what you're getting yourself into so that you're smart about the workout and can get the most out of it. Especially with the open coming up, strategy is so important because 1 rep, 1 second, right, can separate you by hundreds of spots on a leaderboard if you're into that kind of thing. So for me, with the chest to bars, I for sure am going to come out the gates and break these things up. Now, that's if I'm 100%, so I won't be doing chest to bars a day, but just as a matter of strategy, if I was 100%, I'd be breaking this thing up into 6s out the gates. I know that would be challenging, and I know my heart rate's going to be up, but I can hold that pace, I think, across 5 rounds. The bar facing burpees, slow and steady step ups. I'm not sprinting on these things. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. Getting all the way up and getting all the way down is taxing for me, and 15 reps is right to that number where I am really feeling it. And it doesn't matter if it's the first round or 5 rounds. So coming off of that with the pressing motion that I've been going through, and believe it or not, there's that hip extension kind of stuff going on as you kick up into your burpees, whether it's 2-foot takeoff and landing or 1-foot step-ups like Rich does so well that I emulate, try to anyway. Going into the kind of the push-press motion, there's some similar carryover there of fatigue as well. Your arms have felt it from the chest to bars and burpees, and now you got to go shoulder to overhead. So pacing is huge here. So while I would pace the chest to bars, while I'd be smooth on the bar face and burpees, I may even look at the shoulder to overheads to not push it and try to go unbroken early. And here's what I've been learning about myself, even as I have a shoulder injury and I'm recovering. Smart pacing early with these breakups, short rests in between, lead me to a place where later in the workout, as my heart rate is actually continuing to climb, when I check my Apple Watch stats, or if you're using Whoop still and you're watching what your heart rate has been doing, watching that heart rate slowly climb over the workout, but then also getting to a point where maybe that last round or two, I do go unbroken. All right, so that's what I'm always trying to go after, is kind of being able to put my foot on the gas and finish strong, not spike my heart rate right out the gates, hitting max sets, that look impressive for an Instagram video, but then just teeter straight off because I'm with my hands on my knees for minutes at a time, as you total up over the workout. So I'll leave you with that, is that when I record my workouts, I kind of look at that sometimes, especially with workouts like this, which would be a very open-esque workout, 5 rounds, a whole lot of reps and a whole lot of volume. The elite will probably go unbroken and separate themselves from the rest of us. But for the most of us, really from around that, at least in the Masters, from about that 200 mark on, there's very little things that separate you. And I've learned this over the years in the Open. So I'm paying attention as I record workouts like this, like how much time did I spend resting? So there's some workouts where it pays to not break it up and take those rests, just go unbroken if it's not going to kill you, and just get one rest period at the end of that unbroken session before you get into the next thing. However, you might break it up, shorter rests, and then just step right into the next thing. Rich says a lot of times slow reps is better than no reps. So a lot of stuff to consider. We're all different in what's going to make that work. But I'm just going to encourage you to pay attention to how you go about this workout. Look at the data, if it's Whoop or Apple Watch heart rate stats. Look back at a recording video. I use WeTime, and I like to look back and see at my paces and see per round what were my times, where did I fall off, and then what you can do when that's all over. And I'll talk about this when the workout's over to kind of share with you where I was and what I learned as a way to sort of improve strategy for next time in a workout like this. But this is a big one. This is a chipper in my mind, even though it's only 3 pieces. But that 5 rounds of high reps, high skill movements is something to pay attention to here. So I'm going to go into this thing, and for the first time in 2.5 months with the shoulder injury, I'm going to try pull-ups. The goal is half pull-ups, to just be working on the kipping, so I know that range of motion is safe for my shoulder. If it feels good in warm-ups and I think I can actually get my chin above the bar, then I'll scale this thing and turn it into pull-ups. The bar facing burpees is also a little bit of something new. I haven't gone to that pressing explosion off the ground yet with any kind of burpee, so I'm going to try that a little bit today as well. Shoulder to overhead is something I'm going to scale the weight back as well, looking at this thing being 60 reps, right? So that's high reps. That'll be the highest rep of any kind I've done pressing overhead. So this is all about scaling for me, but I want to retain the stimulus of really being challenged and letting my arms and shoulders feel it. So that's the goal for today. So I felt a little beat up and trashed coming in. Gonna do a full warm up, get ready for this thing, and then I'll see you on the other side. Hey everybody, it's Saturday. Mayhem, a week of Mayhem rather, is wrapping up. So you've seen a lot of how I've had to scale around the shoulder, or maybe I'm scaling back the volume for the day just based on schedule and work and things like that. This has been far from a perfect week, and I'm capable of a perfect week. There's been a lot of weeks where I've been able to get all the volume in as it's prescribed, hitting a morning session at a decently earlier time, coming back in the afternoon, well recovered to hit an afternoon/evening session, and that's the way I generally like to do it, and that's the goal, is to get back into that rhythm again. So coming off an injury and really having to take a step back for 2 months allowed other things to start to become part of my day that normally weren't quite there at the times that they were. So we're just readjusting and getting things back in order. So I hope you've taken a lot away from how I've done this. So as I get into Saturday, looking at the program for today as a compete, or from the compete track, Masters track, I'm not able to do pretty much anything on there. My shoulder is not back to a place yet where I feel comfortable enough doing any kind of snatch with a barbell or a dumbbell. That's kind of the movement I was doing when it gave out, and I've still got some feeling in there where it's just tight, not quite ready to do that yet. But I have also not been able to, in the last 8-9 weeks, do any kind of clean. So that's quickly getting my elbows underneath the bar with comfort until just really kind of this week, where I've noticed that some of the clean and jerk stuff I've been able to do, more shoulder to overhead, I've been able to do. So I'm going to take today and do what I missed yesterday and start working on the actual clean and jerks and just see what I feel comfortable with, what I'm mobile enough to get back into, Hopefully get some good squatting out of that for my legs to wrap out the week, but then also start putting some load on my shoulders and pressing overhead and see how that feels. So I'm going to go through all the clean complex stuff from Friday, and then we'll roll off of that, assuming that all goes well. We're going to get some running in. It's a long workout. I think looking at the 4x400s themselves, working through 3 rounds of that, that's 3 miles of running, or 4 miles of running right there. I think, or what do we got? No, it's 3 miles of running, 4x400s, 1 mile, and then doing that 3 times, and that's after the 6 times of 2-minute moderate 30-second walks, and I don't know what that distance is going to come out to. So a lot of good running today. That'll be one of those boring kind of workouts, so just get on a machine and stay there a while and build capacity. So not always the most fun workout, but definitely important. So I'm going to get into this stuff, and then we'll wrap up the week with you guys. And again, I hope you've taken a lot out of this. The week is wrapped up. What I'm going to do tomorrow is come back on and show you the full mobility stretching routine, everything I have in my arsenal that I use that is part of most days' warm-ups, just so nothing is missed. But it's what I try to do a lot of Sundays, and if I don't train, do it on a Thursday as well. So I get out here, I get moving, keep the body just flowing through all the things that are important to me, and hit all the mobility stretching pieces that will enable me to train better the following day. So I'll share all that stuff with you guys, and we're almost done with a week of Mayhem. All right, guys, happy Sunday. A week of Mayhem is almost done. I say almost done because really how well the next week goes has a lot to do with how I manage this time leading up. So a Sunday, or if you go back earlier in the week, even a Thursday. So it's typically what we would refer to as kind of those non-training days. I would just offer you that as a matter of perspective. I don't use the terminology really off days or active recovery days and these different terminologies to sort of, at least for me, sort of start to mess with my mind a little bit, that this is a day where I don't have to put in that much effort, or this is a day to relax and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. While I do fully support the idea of rest, what I'm trying to say is that every day for me has purpose, right? Every day is a training day. I'm intentional about what I'm trying to get accomplished. I don't like the feeling of just being flat out lazy and not doing anything. If I am not doing anything, in my mind, it is really the intentionality of like my body needs to rest. I need to lay down and not do anything for a while. So just some perspective for it. But I wanted to take an opportunity and kind of just share with you what I do prior to nearly every workout we do. This is my mobility and activation routine. So first off, just some of the tools that I use. Number one is a lacrosse ball. This is just a simple lacrosse ball you can pick up at a sporting goods store, right? So what I really try to use this thing for is to really rub into the forearms, the triceps, the biceps, and into the pecs. I will sometimes sit on top of my box and have this thing under my hamstring into my glute a little bit. If I'm particular tight, especially in the adductor area, which is kind of that, I don't know if it's like groin or hamstring, that kind of in-between area, can get really sore on me sometimes. So this thing is beautiful for that. Really, you can use it anywhere you want. Similarly then to lacrosse ball is crossover symmetry has what's called the mobility sack. This 2 lacrosse balls inside of the sleeve that you can reposition however wide or narrow you would like. I'll use this thing a lot of times to put it between my back and a wall and just roll that thing kind of more in the upper back subscap area up into my traps. But again, I've tried to use this a little bit on the ground as well and put my body weight into it and try to really target some more fine-tuned points of tension with that tool. So again, that's crossover symmetry, puts that out when I got my bands, which I'll show you in a little bit. That was available and came with it. The last thing that I use is put out by a company called Trigger Point. This is a hard foam roller, if you will. Not really foam, it's a harder rubber foam on the outside, hard plastic on the inside. Ton of ridges and whatnot are built into it that allows me to get in some good rolling. So I'll use that thing to, again, just start to loosen stuff up. Not to insult anybody's intelligence, but when I foam roll, I just have a general routine I go through every time I get on it, which is just kind of flushing out the lower back into the upper glutes a little bit. And just working those trouble areas that feel extra tight. When I get into my upper back especially, I'll kind of bring the arms forward together a little bit to kind of opens my back up and allows me to get, again, some tight areas exposed and let the foam roller do its job there. And I especially get over onto my side and work into the lats because, man, tight lats, as many of you know, really inhibits overhead mobility and overhead positioning and things like that as well. So Really try to get in there and work those lats. Some days are worse than others, like as I'm just now starting to get pull-ups back with the shoulder injury. The lats are a little extra sore, so I'll for sure put some time in there. Getting into the rear delts a little bit too is so good with just moving your arms into some different positions, overhead and out to the side, repositions muscles in your back, and you just roll yourself over this thing. Definitely use it on my legs, especially the quads, and then into the hip flexors and hips as well. This thing does wonders for me, especially the lower quad right above my knee is another really tight spot that will then create some knee tension that can make some squatting positions difficult. So I go through those things first. That is just to get everything kind of loose, and I don't like stretching anything cold, so I try to get things loose with these devices. And sometimes what I do, just depending on how I feel when I get out here, I will alternate back and forth between one of these things and like the assault bike. The reason I like the assault bike is it's just upper body and lower body, nothing intense, but just moving and getting some blood flowing into the joints and some of the muscles that I intend to work with this thing. I think one thing I didn't mention with lacrosse balls, I even like to get into the delts, the shoulder muscles as well, especially with the shoulder injury. I've got some spots that I'm very familiar with that I'm trying to release some of that tension that has been created through the injury and whatnot, and then just through training as well. So that's how we got started. I'm going to get the timer going here in a minute and just let you check out some of the very specific things I do when it comes to mobility and activation to get my body ready for training. Again, I'm 45 years old, so I want to take great care of myself so that I can do this, because if you avoid these kind of things, your body's going to get tight. And as we're trying to do gymnastics and some of these really explosive types of movements where you're asking muscle fibers to either be slow twitch or fast twitch and respond accordingly to stimulus, if you're tight and you're not taking care of yourself, that tension will result in injuries. And you just increase the risk of getting injured in this sport if you don't take good care of your body. And a lot of times, the injuries can come from just bad positioning caused by lack of mobility. So this stuff, again, is going to keep everything loose and really just set you up for success. So again, every day is a training day. Most Sundays, I try to get this in. It's difficult because I'm laying around, I'm watching football, or I'm watching golf. I'm just relaxing, letting my body recover. But today's been a good day. Got the right amount of sleep, got up earlier. I'm on track with meals and hydration. So, man, I'm just going to capitalize and finish this day strong. Get ready for a new week of Mayhem tomorrow. So, again, I hope you take something out of this. So, after I have lacrosse ball the arms and chest and shoulders, foam rolled as well, then what I start to get into now, I got some just kind of looseness in the upper bodies. I'm going to get into the crossover symmetry protocol. So you see with that, the arm that I have forward, I also have the same side of my body leg straight. So I'm getting a good lunge out of it, and I'm also really stretching out the whole side. And I try to rotate my arm in and then rotate away as well to provide an extra stretch. Couldn't even do it on my right side at the beginning of this week. We're slowly getting to the point where I can do it safely. So that's a huge plus. So upper body done, now time to move into the lower body. So y'all, Another thing that crossover symmetry has is the hip halo protocol. I'm just going to go through a couple of their moves as well to get some blood flowing into the hips before I do one of my last lower body stretches. All right, so that's it, guys. Week of Mayhem complete. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff if you found this helpful and think it would help somebody else. But hit me up in the comments, or you can message me directly on any social media platform if you've got deeper questions about what I do and what else you could do for something specific. This is definitely not an all-inclusive mobility activation routine, but it's what I do every single day before the main morning session. When I come back out in the afternoon for session 2, I'll do some of this stuff a little bit, just depending on getting warmed up for that second session. And then certainly if the session has in it like snatches, there's more snatch specific mobility and stretching exercises I'll do for my upper body. I just can't do those right now with my shoulder recovering. So maybe another episode I can drop some content on that. And there's certainly a ton of other banded exercises and stretches that you can do and that I've done. If I've got something kind of nagging me, I'm certainly doing some extra shoulder stability, mobility drills with some dumbbells, very light dumbbells and bands as I rehab. So that's a little different. So definitely not an all-inclusive list, but again, just to give you an idea, some things you can do that will hit your body top to bottom, get the blood flowing, get things stretched out, mobilized, loosened up, and get your body ready to get in the right positions so you can get after this training safely and hopefully avoid injury and continue to make progress. So again, man, so thankful for the opportunity to share this stuff with you guys, and hit me up if you got any questions. We'll see you on the leaderboard, yeah?